Women do not have to register for the United States draft. And no American has been pressed into involuntary service since the last draft, during the Vietnam War. However, the viral spread of a 10-month-old New York Times story has potentially given millions of internet users misleading impressions to the contrary. Following the web traffic and social media commentary around the article illustrates how a hot-button cultural issue can be taken out of context and amplified by hyper-partisan bubbles, inflaming passions and spreading misinformation. On June 14, 2016, The Times published a story online with the headline, "Senate Votes to Require Women to Register the Draft." The story reported on the approval of a budget amendment by the Senate. The final version of the bill, which President Barack Obama signed 6 months later, in December, did not include the provision. In late January 2017, the article was shared by several Facebook pages in the military community, leading to an increase in traffic. In April, after President Trump launched a strike on a Syrian airbase, fan pages for Senator Bernie Sanders spurred a smaller spike in readership. In total, nearly 2 million people have clicked on this 2016 congressional procedural story, making it one of the 100 most read Times stories of 2017 so far. And Google Trends data shows an obvious bump in searches. Questions like "Do women have to register the draft?" around the spikes in viral social sharing. A scan of the thousands of comments left on the different Facebook posts reveals obvious confusion. Some readers, responding only to the dated headline, are under the impression that Congress recently voted to draft their daughters or, alternatively, to finally move the Army toward greater gender equality. Planting the seeds of passion. In a way, the ideological confusion online channels the passion brought the issue under congressional consideration in the first place. The Obama administration opened combat roles to women back in December 2015. Stirring a national conversation that, as demonstrated by the article's resurgent popularity, has continued to this day. Representative Duncan D. Hunter, Republican of California, introduced the initial amendment to expand the draft to women in April 2016, but voted against it. Mr. Hunter introduced it to force the conversation in Congress about the administration's new policy, said his chief of staff, Joe Casper. Though the amendment passed 32-30 in the House Armed Services Committee, Claude Chaffin, a spokesman for the committee, told The Times it was clear it would not survive a vote by the full House. So the provision was taken out of the House version of the bill. And while the amendment passed the Senate, it was ultimately stripped out of the final Senate version of the bill as well. Instead, the final law, as passed in December, established a national commission to study the draft's utility and future use. Old story, new context. Fast forward to this month. Mr. Trump ordered airstrikes in Syria amid heightened tension with North Korea and Russia. The liberal Facebook page, Bernie Sanders Lover, shared a link to the June story without additional comment. The page's administrator, Chris Friend, told The Times that he was reminded of the earlier story and shared it with his readers after the Syria strikes for a reason. Mr. Friend said he understood that the amendment was stripped from the final legislation. But to me, it is a bigger story that it was included in the first place and that people missed the story. Personally, I've been feeling a ramp up for a large-scale conflict for a while now. While Mr. Friend had a bigger picture in mind. He said that many of his readers were incensed by the article, suggesting that a white, male, dominant, Christian, warmongering Congress wanted to send your sons and daughters to fight for Trump's cause. Mr. Friend, essentially, had given old news a new context, a not uncommon phenomenon in the digital age, said Peter Adams, Senior Vice President for Educational Programs at the News Literacy Project. Multiple studies have shown that most news consumers seldom read entire articles. For many, in this new and continuously expanding information landscape, a glance is enough to confirm existing biases and emotions. They think they know what it's about, based on the headline, Mr. Adams said. Fear can drive people to share quickly and not think as much or be as critical. That's where it gets its virality.